attention to high school softball. Welcome in Mark Trible of the Courier-Post. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning, Sully.
Take us inside the circle here.
Let's go inside the circle, buddy. right to the rubber, right to the white strip, which the foot goes on, and that begins all this magic that is high school softball season.
You excited, man?
Absolutely, I'm excited. How could I not be? This is going to be a tremendous season, as always. We're going to have a lot of great teams out there, and South Jersey softball is always fun to watch. It's fun to cover. It's fun to be around the kids involved, the coaches. As well as anybody, Sully, this is a great time of the year, man. It starts to get a little bit warmer. Bring out the salmon pants. There's a lot going on.
You think there'll be any salmon pants worthy games this year?
Absolutely, absolutely, I do. I think I think that I'm going to have to figure out a whole different style of colors of pants, because there are going to be so many games worth salmon pants. Can't wear salmon pants every day.
No,
I've tried.
Try to get some different colored pastels in there in spring.
Yeah, maybe a little robin egg blue.
There you go.
You got to figure it out.
So who's topping your mean 15 Township?
Washington Township is number one. Absolutely. I think that they've got a good amount back off last year's team. They did lose their pitcher, who was a star. So, you got to fill in for Lauren Shannon there. They have a couple of girls who are capable of combining to be a pretty solid battery there, but also they bring back so many position players. A lot of these kids not only got experience last year when they were very successful, but 2 years ago when they won the state championship. So there's a lot to like about Washington Township. There always is, man. Year in, year out, Washington Township, the Minute Maids, always powerful. They'll be atop my South Jersey rankings.
No, another team I really want to look forward to seeing how they do this year is Eastern Regional, man. That's a team that I think had the talent to win an overall state championship last year. Unfortunately, they ran into that real tough 13-inning loss against EHT last year, which was probably the best softball game I've ever seen in my life. And how does the team come back from a loss like that in the state playoffs and try to go back out there and win a championship this year?
Well, I'll tell you one way they come back from it. They come back from it as number 2 in my South Jersey mean 15. I think Eastern will be just fine. They are a little bit younger in the outfield this year. They lose a couple big gloves, bats, people they could rely on again, which is something that all these top teams got to deal with. However, they bring back Rachel Warrow, the pitcher. They bring back Maria Wysocki, the shortstop. They bring back a couple girls who are going to be very important pieces as well. And again, experience from last year. I thought Eastern, obviously we covered that EHT Eastern game, and what a classic it was. But you looked at how close the margin was, and you bring a pitcher back, you got to kind of like that, I think, in terms of the overall big picture. Rachel Warren proved herself way better than serviceable last year. She was fantastic. So
she was awesome. She pitched every pitch of that game, that 13-inning game.
Yes, she absolutely did. And
that was incredible.
I think the first time I saw her, I kind of wondered, it's funny. I don't remember this girl being the starting pitcher last year. Just because of her maturity, she seemed like a senior. She was a sophomore, and she was great. She was absolutely great. So I'd like, she's a spin pitcher. She's not going to overpower you, but her spin is very, very good. She should be one of the best around.
I got to give a shout out to my buddy Jim Haig over there in Vineland. His daughter Corey is one of the top catchers in South Jersey, and I told you to keep an eye on the Fighting Clan.
Yeah, I think the Fighting Clan will be solid this year. I do, and I think they have a very high upside because last year you look at the way they played. They had some very impressive wins, and then they made to the playoffs. They didn't do much there, but Vineland could be a team to watch. Haig is can swing it, can absolutely swing it very well. And down there's always great softball.
Yeah, Millville as well.
Millville is just stellar. I think Delsey and Cumberland both. All three of those teams, I believe I have them all in the top 6 or 7. So some great softball down in that Daily Journal area. I mean, my cohort Trevor Newcomb will be very fortunate to see a whole bunch of great stuff down there.
How about hitting wise? Who really stands out as some of the top hitters in South Jersey?
Well, let's start out right now in Clearview, where Elena Hansen, a couple of years ago, she might have been the best hitter in South Jersey when she was a freshman. Last year, she was great. She can do it all. She's a great basketball player too for the Pioneers. I love the way that she can go with a pitch. She's not afraid to go off her. She hits it to all fields. She hits it for power. She really, my best advice is don't pitch to her. But I guess you got to pitch to somebody at some time. She's one of the best. And a great young lady as well. So she's number one to me in terms of when you go out and you're looking, oh man, I'm going to see somebody who can really do some damage at the plate. But Cumberland's got a number of those girls that did it last year. Diana Parker, sophomore Delsey, another fantastic bat. It's so crazy in softball season because by the end of the year, you see some of these numbers. And you go back to the beginning of the year, we write our previews and kind of break down what's what and go back through the stats. You're looking at it, it's like the first girl you see, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember her. Let's see what she hit last year. Oh, 526. Wow. You think, wow, that's unbelievable. And you type it in, let's go to the next one. 546. Wow, 546. And it just seems like, by the end of the day, then you look at all of them and you're like, all these girls hit over 500. That's unbelievable. The talent that's out there. There's 20-some kids that just pound the ball all over the diamond, man. So, but I like Hansen. If anybody gets a chance to go see her hit the ball, I would do it. But she's a junior. She'll be back next year as well.
Talking with Mark Trible of the Courier-Post. Mark, another team to keep your eye on, Buena Regional. They've got some nice athletes. They had a pretty good year last year, and as you know, they have Coach Pickett. She's been doing this for quite a long time. She knows what she's doing out there, so that could be one of those teams in Group 2 to really keep an eye on.
How could I forget? How could I forget Buena?
Don't sleep on the Chiefs.
Let's lump them in. Let's lump them in again. This is the Daily Journal area, and I don't want to leave out Shalik either, who has Morgan Zane in the outfield. She's, she was all South Jersey her freshman and sophomore year, so good for them as well. But I will say this: Buena's always in the mix. They're always in the mix. Be interesting to see the dynamic kind of shift now. I know the Cow has shifted to 3 divisions instead of 2. And I believe Pam Pickett is 4 wins away from a very special milestone. I think it might be 600 wins or,
wow,
something like that. And Buena, solid. Yeah. And it's a different dynamic, too, because St. Joe now, it used to be Buena St. Joe's. Like,
right,
whoever won that game was going to win the division. You knew that. St. Joe now is a new coach. Candy Steinhauer moved over to Winslow, so that shakes things up a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. But the Chiefs are always very good.
And we can't forget EHT. I mean, they graduated Nicole Wisser and a couple other seniors, but they got a pretty good chunk of their lineup back. So we'll see how they respond from that 24-1 season.
Yeah, and you know what? When you get a good group of girls, Tori Strom, obviously, she was fantastic for them as well, spelling Whistler in the circle and also at bat. I think she played a little first, if I'm not mistaken, correct? And, let's take a look at a team like that. You go 24-1, you only lose once in the state championship. And, those girls know what it's like. I don't want to say they just know what it's like, but they know that it's possible. You know, these girls that fill in for all those stars that they had last year. I mean, they got some pretty darn good players down in EHT regardless. But those girls know, hey, look, we watched it happen last year. We had a special mix, 24-0, best season in school history, and now they know that they can achieve that. They can achieve success as well. So that I think EHT's up there. I think Absegami's going to be very tough. And I'm really, really, really bullish on Mainland. I mean, I've got them in the top 10. I think Mackenzie Brennan comes back. Bailey Arena, it's a team you're very familiar with, I know.
Yeah, I think Brennan led the state in hits last year.
Yeah, I think she had 56.
Yep.
I mean, that's another one. You look at her numbers; they're eye-popping. I think the Mustangs are going to be very, very good. And I like the mix that they have. All these kids they got coming back. A team that was very good last year.
Good stuff, Mark. We're up against the break. Got to let you go. We'll check in with you next week and see what's happening here in the first week of the season.
Absolutely, Sully. Anytime, man. Enjoy your wonderful weekend. I didn't April Fool you, so.
All right, man. Enjoy the Final Four, buddy.
All right, you too.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.
That was Mark Trible, the Courier-Post. We're in